I Am Become big box office, destroyer of records. But how did a 3-hour biopic about a scientist become a surprise box office smash? Here's the secret to Oppenheimer's explosive success. Let's start with the elephant in the room. Oppenheimer was pitted against the Margot Robbie-led Barbie from day one. In the lead up to the film, the competition between these two diametrically opposite stories was obvious everywhere. So much so that the experience was quickly dubbed Barbenheimer by avid fans from both camps. Mattel's movie, helmed by the immensely talented Greta Gerwig, was guaranteed to attract a massive millennial following, along with their own offspring, in the name of nostalgia.
This is the best day ever.
At the same time, Oppenheimer had a disturbingly fatal attraction for countless viewers due to the many other reasons included on this list. This led to one of the strangest standoffs that we've seen at the box office in ages. Two heavyweight movies by well-known directors, each able to hang with the best of them and bring their own fan base to theaters at the same time. They went toe-to-toe on opening night, and in many cases, moviegoers embraced the friendly competition by booking back-to-back showings. The result was a surge of marketing momentum that benefited both films. Even if Oppenheimer came in a distant second at the box office, there's no question that both movies were better off for the mutual energy. The mainstream marketing for Oppenheimer consisted of solid, well-executed, traditional studio marketing, splashy posters, and cryptic teasers. The film's release on the same weekend as Barbie created a natural competition that helped both exceed expectations. But there's another factor that cannot be overlooked when considering what contributed to both films' success: the memes.
You guys ever think about dying?
The Barbenheimer concept was more than a conversation. It also manifested in visual form via an endless string of fan-made crossover art. These featured various iterations of Barbie and Oppenheimer in the same picture. Often the somber orange overtones associated with the latter would blend with the cheery optimism of the former. Throughout this organic, fan-driven marketing campaign, it also created one of the greatest grassroots marketing movements of all time. It helped propagate the double-header concept that many embraced on opening weekend, and the jarring combination of the film's promotional materials ensured that everyone was aware that these two movies were coming out. Another Barbie-related factor that contributed to the success of Oppenheimer is the fact that the biopic provided a welcome counterweight to the pink-heavy Barbie experience taking place. In most locations, one theater over. The Margot Robbie film may have been a huge hit with a wide audience, but it didn't speak to everyone. The simultaneous release of Oppenheimer meant anyone interested in a more sobering and philosophical cinematic experience could skip the over-the-top positivity of Barbie. The two films cater to very different audiences, and, memes aside, Oppenheimer provided a welcome alternative for those who weren't in the mood for all that pink. It's a well-known fact that Christopher Nolan movies attract an avid fan base. We're not saying all of his movies are classics, but the renowned Brit has a sensational track record. Since breaking through with his sophomore feature film Memento, Nolan has been on a quarter-of-a-century hot streak. His style isn't for everyone, but there's no doubt that it's distinct, exciting, and always leaves fans wanting more. The continued popularity of his films means that a new Nolan movie is an event that his fans won't want to miss. Nolan's producing power was always going to help Oppenheimer achieve great heights all on its own, but it certainly helped to have some A-list support along the way. The movie features a host of Hollywood's top brass, with a well-known face popping up every few scenes. Leading the line is the ever-watchable Cillian Murphy. The Irish actor is known for his standout performances in the likes of 28 Days Later, Sunshine, and more recently the hit series Peaky Blinders. Murphy is also no stranger to Nolan's cinematic world. He played Scarecrow in Batman Begins, and Robert Fisher in Inception. However, Oppenheimer is his first leading role in a Nolan film, and Murphy doesn't disappoint. Backing up Murphy's portrayal of Oppenheimer is a smorgasbord of recognizable faces. Emily Blunt features opposite Murphy as Kitty, Oppenheimer's wife. Florence Pugh also shows up in the role of Oppenheimer's girlfriend and then mistress, Jean Tatlock. The film also includes Robert Downey Jr. as political antagonist, Louis Strauss, in one of his first major film roles since leaving the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Matt Damon plays the key role of military liaison, Leslie Groves, and Kenneth Branagh shows up for a few scenes as Danish physicist, Niels Bohr. And the list goes on and on from there. Marketing for Oppenheimer was another factor that helped bring the crowds in droves. The movie's striking visuals filtered through to the film's promotional material. The captivating image of the title character in front of his horrifying creation was one of the most memorable images around in the weeks leading up to the release date. The trailers helped too. Each clip shifted between a dramatic narrative featuring many of the film's well-known actors and close-up sequences of explosions and billowing fireballs. The disconcerting compilation said it all without really saying anything. Added to the alluring confusion of the trailers were countless other questions. Why was this Nolan's first R-rated film in over 2 decades? Why did he choose a biopic? Why is it so long? What cinematic trickery would the director unleash in the movie? The result of months of this kind of advertising was that it created a frenzy of anticipation and curiosity. Fans knew they had a solid idea of what was to come, and yet they had no idea what the experience would be like in real time. Like it or not, 2023 has been the year of so-called artificial intelligence. From real-life programs like ChatGPT to the fanciful sci-fi concepts and shows like Apple TV+'s Foundation, AI is in the spotlight. And it even finds a voice in Oppenheimer, though an indirect one. According to director Christopher Nolan himself, Oppenheimer is a cautionary tale for those engaged in pioneering modern technological concepts. Speaking to the press in Paris, the director connected modern AI to the first atomic tests, saying, "Artificial intelligence researchers refer to the present moment as an Oppenheimer moment." A bit later in the interview, he added that those working on AI now can draw important lessons regarding their ethical responsibility from Oppenheimer's story. From there, he clarified that there isn't a direct takeaway being taught here, saying, "But I don't think it offers any easy answers. It is a cautionary tale. It shows the dangers." When a director tells the world that their film is a terrifying cautionary tale on an apocalyptic scale, you can bet your bottom dollar it's going to draw a crowd. You can also bet Nolan's words, in the context of the film's disturbingly open-ended finale, will continue to ring in viewers' ears as they process the emotionally traumatizing 3-hour ordeal. The development of the atomic bomb has a direct through line to everyday life in 2023. And this isn't even hypothetical. We still live and breathe in a nuclear age. Since the 1940s, nuclear arsenals have proliferated across the globe and regularly factor into public policy making. The war in Ukraine has stoked fresh fears about nuclear weapons being used again, and panic seemingly spreads faster in this day and age. The 24-hour news cycle plays a big part, and so-called nuclear anxiety is highest among those who spend more time on social media, a recent study has shown. The fact that there is such a direct connection between the subject matter of Oppenheimer and life as we know it is a clear draw for many viewers. Even Nolan referred to the film as kind of a horror movie, filled with impossible ethical dilemmas. Most millennials and all Gen Zers don't have any memories of what it was like to live in the Cold War, let alone the horrifying final days of the Second World War. The chance to know more about the man that kickstarted the nuclear age was an easy selling point. Barbie may have beaten Oppenheimer in the sheer volume of tickets sold, but Nolan's film triumphed on the biggest of the big screens. According to Deadline, Oppenheimer raked in $35 million on its opening weekend via a select 740 IMAX screens around the world. That's 20% of the film's opening weekend box office total, a record ratio to date. IMAX CEO Rich Gelfond addressed the incredible results, telling Deadline, "Oppenheimer is an undeniable demonstration of a paradigm shift in moviegoing, with IMAX taking a commanding share of global box office, as audiences show a clear preference for experiences that transcend the ordinary in cinema." Nolan added,
IMAX for me is a portal into a level of immersion that you can't get from other formats.
This pursuit of a bigger and better cinematic setting doesn't just translate to a greater experience, it also directly impacts the numbers. IMAX is more expensive on a per-ticket basis, which means the same number of seats will lead to a greater opening weekend financial total. In other words, Oppenheimer didn't have to attract as many viewers to achieve the same level of success, since 1 in 5 members of its audience paid a premium for a seat. In the case of Oppenheimer, the IMAX factor goes beyond the price of tickets. It also has to do with the desire to see some eye-popping visuals complete with seat-shaking sound effects. The attraction here is obvious. The film's magnificent visual set pieces, the Trinity test in particular, were major draws from the first day marketing started. The fact that the movie features a true explosion instead of a CGI one also caught the attention of many avid moviegoers, as did the fact that it was filmed and played in select locations on a 70mm large format film. IMAX CEO Rich Gelfond also dug into the reason that pushed many viewers to choose IMAX over traditional theater viewing, telling Deadline, as he has done throughout his career, Christopher Nolan pushed the boundaries of IMAX technology to deliver unforgettable storytelling with Oppenheimer, and audiences are responding in numbers we've not seen in our 50-year history. Nolan's willingness to play the part of the pioneer and push the limits of even the best cinematic technology was a major selling point of the experience. The man already has a track record of powerful visual elements, from the mind-bending mental landscapes of Inception to the time-warping space adventures of Interstellar. While Oppenheimer didn't head into the scientifically unknown, its atomic setting provided ample fodder for some of the greatest shots in the history of cinema, and Nolan didn't disappoint. The entertainment world has had a superhero overload problem for a while now, and Barbenheimer's opening weekend was a damning recognition of that fact. The world was buzzing with excitement for an upcoming pair of films featuring precisely 0 superheroes. One was a childhood toy adaptation, and the other was a biopic about a scientist. What does that mean going forward? There has been a consistent drop-off when it comes to interest in Marvel and DC films as of late. The MCU movie Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania opened to $106 million domestically and failed to pass the $500 million mark in total, a definite disappointment for a Marvel picture.
Ouch.
Meanwhile, DC's standalone feature The Flash only hit $55 million on its domestic opening weekend and was considered a dismal failure. And don't forget, all of this is graded on a curve. Superhero movies have been in a steady state of decline in recent months. In comparison, Oppenheimer handily beat the opening weekend of The Flash and was quickly catching up to Quantumania before the bell tolled midnight on Monday morning. The box office success of Nolan's latest offering shows that audiences are still there, and they just might be starting to move on from superhero movies.